Yo, what's going on, man? It's Zupa, Curvy Joseph, man. Hey, you listening to the Honolulu Blues. You hear me?
What's going on? Yes, sir. Fly those flags, baby. The Lions. Third podcast of the week. I think this might be a record, might be tied for a record.
Records.
Me and Nick, we hopped on right after the game, could not contain our excitement, had to talk about that 50 burger. Then me and Julius, if you guys missed it, we went on yesterday, talked about the Bears game. We previewed a little bit about this Ravens game, but we're not going to talk a whole lot about the Bears game. You guys have had your fill about that. I'm sure I've looked at the stats and the highlights a million times. But we're going to touch in on a couple little tidbits that, things that I noticed, Nick noticed after the game, one of which some words may be said to Ben Johnson from Dan Campbell. But let's talk a little, let's talk a little Tigers. We dropped one to the Guardians yesterday. Feeling fine, no biggie, whatever.
How in the world are you going to let Kerry Carpenter hit the biggest home run in Tigers since Kerry Carpenter did this against Cleveland last year in the divisional round? Like, how are you going to let that go just to the wayside with Will Vest just coming in and blowing it? That was so terrible.
Have you seen Will Vest's stats outside of the ninth inning? It's insane. So
pitchers be like that. Closers be like that. I got no fret. Don't bring Will Vest in at that opportunity. That's an AJ Hinch problem.
Yes,
right there.
Exactly. My thing is Will Vest, just AJ Hinch know his role. Ninth inning only from here on out. And unless you absolutely have to, the bullpen stands, something like that. But in the seventh and eighth inning, his ERA is like above an 8. And extra innings, it's above a 9. So. And then in the ninth inning, it's like a 1.14. So he's lights out in the ninth inning as a closer. But outside of that, something just, I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's just players. I really don't know what it is or maybe it's, he comes in the ninth inning, pitches good, doesn't get the save, and then goes into extra. So that's when he kind of falls apart. But nonetheless, Scooball looking good to go. He's going to be taking on the Guardians 2 times in their next 2 series. We got 2 more against the Guardians, and then we got a little series against the Braves, then going to Cleveland to take on the Guardians again. Scooball's got 2 games there. So if we can win those Scooball games, we should be able to lock everything down. A sweep, don't think it'll happen, but if the Tigers do get swept, will you have any type of concern?
Oh, yeah, dude. We'll be like 3.5 games up on Cleveland, playing them again after we now, yeah, dude. Yeah. I was just last week, I was like, there's no chance we drop this division. Like, not a chance. Thing is, if we get swept, there's absolutely a chance. I don't think we get swept just because we do have Scooble going tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Tonight, Scooball tomorrow.
Ooh, I thought today was Tuesday for a sec. Wait, today is Wednesday, right? Today is Wednesday. Someone remind me of what's going on in this world, bro. Yeah, there's absolutely panic that hits. Obviously, shouldn't for the Tigers. Like, they need to stay the course. Obviously, AJ Hinch last year was pulling the right moves every way we looked. And that happens rarely. Obviously, we know what the Tigers did last year was improbable, but we did it. And those kind of like crazy streaks will happen every once in a while. Fact of the matter is that kind of success is hard to continue. That's when you just have to rely on your players' skills. And it's just our bullpen is really showing itself right now. We just have to stay the course. We still have one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the MLB. we're okay. You know what I mean? Like right now, I think we're doing a lot of tryouts. Let's see where pitchers are going to, like how pitchers can do in certain positions, certain innings, certain time frames. And when we get to the playoffs, hopefully we got it all figured out.
Yeah, so we're 5.5 up on Cleveland right now. We dropped 2 more. Yeah, we go down to 3.5.
3.5.
Braves, then going.
Luckily, we have. Have you seen the back end of our schedule? Like we play like I can't remember exactly, but it's like the Sox, the Nationals, like not good teams. We have a pretty good like last week, maybe last 2 weeks of the season.
I know. So you said
Cleveland
Sox.
is like the only team, like Atlanta. Atlanta's terrible. Then Cleveland, and then isn't it the Sox, and then like the Nationals?
It is the Sox, but it's the Red Sox. And that's who we finish with. We have 3 on the road. So we have 6 straight road games. Cleveland to Boston.
Long red team. I was thinking it was Washington for some reason that we finished against. But
it's funny because
that's not great.
We take on like all the red teams basically, and the Guardians, the Braves, the Guardians again, and the Red Sox. So I can see the confusion.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe the Reds, maybe the Nationals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one of those teams. All right, let's talk a little Lions injury news. We got word, Nick. We talked about this before. Brian Branch was kind of gingerly walking off the field, but turns out just cramping. He should be all good to go. Nothing crazy. The one we do kind of have to worry about, Marcus Davenport. We saw him go down on that sack. He looked great. This is what every Lions fan has been expecting. He's gonna, make a sack or two, make a couple plays, then get injured. Luckily, it wasn't season-ending. He was not placed on IR yesterday nor today, so I don't believe he's going to miss extensive time. Do I expect him to play this Monday? Probably not. I think we might just play it safe just because this dude's kind of made of glass. But we saw Muhammad was balling out. He's, I think, top 6 in pass rush win rate amongst all defensive ends, higher than guys like Micah Parsons, higher than guys like Zadarius Smith. So if Al-Qaid Muhammad can produce like that, then gives me a little more comfort. But Davenport, I just give me, 12 to 13 games and the playoffs. And that's perfectly fine with me. The other injury, Shane Zylstra went on IR. He seems like he's always just getting injured. Kind of stinks for him. He's been a grinder though. He's made the team the last 2 years. He's been with the Lions, friend of the podcast as well. So hoping for the best. The Lions did go out and make a move. We signed Ross Dwelly to the practice squad. I kind of like that. Ross Dwelly had a stint in San Francisco. He was a solid backup for George Kittle. Had some play time there. So has worked with some good teams, good coaches, and seems like a little seasoned veteran that if Brock Wright were to go down, I feel like he would be able to fill that role, pretty good.
Yeah, not Shane Zylstra, friend of the show. We love the guy. We like him as a good reserve. Been with the team, knows the scheme. Brock Wright looked great, dude. Brock Wright. Remember when San Francisco tried their best to come in and swoop Brock Wright from us, and we were like, no. We'll match whatever you got, dude. Brock Wright ain't going nowhere. That's a Dan Campbell kind of guy right there. So I love me some Brock Wright, but we'll see if Dwelly, maybe he has some good sellies, and we can call him Dwelly the Selly. Maybe he's got a good dwelling. You know what I mean? Maybe he lives in a good dwelling. So we'll see. We got some good names for him. Hopefully he never sees the field, and it's just Laporta and Brock Wright all day, every day. Marcus Davenport. I'm surprised you don't think he plays. I bet he plays. Dan Campbell. I bet all the fans are thinking what you're thinking, which is the dude's made of glass. Why the heck would we have him in on a week 3 game? Well, Dan Campbell don't think like that. Dan Campbell is like, this week 3 game is the Super Bowl. And you know what he's going to think week 4? It's the Super Bowl against Cleveland. And then you know what he's going to week 5 is the Super Bowl. Like he's every single game is you bring it all. I don't care if you got 1 ass cheek and 3 toes. We've heard it. You know what I mean? So I think Davenport goes out there. I'm loving. Have you listened to anything Davenport has said to the media post games?
Not really, no.
Man, they be asking him about his injury, and he is just like, I don't know.
What
we'll
injury?
See. I don't know. He is like sick of hearing over and over, week after week, article after article, podcast after podcast, how he's made of glass or he can't stay healthy and this and that. He is such a dominant defensive end when he is on the field. He's great in the run game. He's great in the pass game. Got a sack, came back from being injured, got a sack, which he got injured on that sack, but whatever, he got a sack. I love me Davenport. It's no secret. I've been all about him during the offseason, when it came to re-signing him. Like, signing him. I love him. I want him to be healthy. I think he's going to be healthy. And I think he's going to just battle through injuries. I think 16, 17 games is out of the realm of possibilities, but I think 12, 13 is great. And I think giving him time off, maybe during the bye week, not during, but games near the bye week, that's when we should be looking to do it. But have this man go out there, injury or not. He's Dan Campbell guy. He's going to play through if he wants to earn his reps on this team. We also only have 3 edge rushers on our team, dude. We need Davenport out there. Other than that, you and me might be getting a call. We might be like, hey, dude, we getting Dan Campbell might be needing us. So I don't know. I think Davenport plays. I love him. It stinks to see this injury. It was inevitable. It doesn't scare me that much, though. He came back, got hurt, re-aggravated. What was it again? His shoulder?
Arm, shoulder.
I bet he plays.
And I think, Ravens, it is a big game. If we could get this win, this will recoup the loss against Green Bay. Maybe not the divisional loss aspect, but if we can beat the Ravens, that tells the entire NFL, hey, just because our coordinators are gone, just because we got a different team, we are still the same Lions from last year. And I think it would, kind of establish us as, oh, they just beat the Bears. Anyone can, put 50 on the Bears. But, even to put 50 on any NFL team, me and Julius were talking about this. It's impressive, It is the Bears. They aren't a great team, but 50 points in the NFL is huge. That's why you don't see it a lot. Even when, the Ravens played the Browns last week, they only dropped 41 with a defensive touchdown. Lions didn't even have a defensive touchdown. Did it all themselves. So on the offensive aspect. So yeah, honestly, it wouldn't shock me. I would bet if he plays, he's probably around an 80%, maybe on, not a full-blown snap count, maybe a little, here and there. But Davenport he's a pivotal piece for the Lions, and I think we need him moving forward. So regardless, whatever decision Dan Campbell makes, I'm backing it. If he plays, we will need him in this Ravens game. If he doesn't, at least he gets, extra rest and, hopefully heals up to the best. And then in the Browns, we can blow the Browns out in the first half. Don't need him. And then he'll get 2 weeks, et cetera, et cetera. So
we all like that mindset. That's what I was thinking with Aiden last week. It was the third quarter and he got or it was hurt a little bit or something like that. And came off or something. And I was just yo, we don't need him out on that field. We're winning by 45 right now. We don't need him. Let that man sit. But Dan Campbell, he loves to play his players, man. It don't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter.
Real quick before we, touch a little bit on a couple Bears things. Did you hear? I'm sure you saw that Jimmy Fallon came to Detroit and had a whole episode about Detroit. Dude. This was complete news to me. I saw it the other day. They were posted. I saw posts about it, and I figured, the Tonight Show must be doing some sort of, major city tour where they're going to LA, Chicago, Detroit, the big cities and doing shows there. Nuh-uh. It was just Detroit. And the reason for that being is he's got a new deal with the Ford Motor Company. So the Ford Motor Company played a large role in having Jimmy Fallon come to Detroit. I forget what venue he played at, but it was one of those downtown. And he had Cade Cunningham, Aiden Hutchinson on, where Aiden Hutchinson nearly sacked Jimmy Fallon. I think he went into sack mode when he came out and picked him up and was like, oh crap, this is a television guy, not a quarterback. Send back down.
Way too easy. Hold on.
Yeah, this was way too funny. Exactly. But I have watched the full episode, just seen some clips. I saw Cade gave Jimmy a pair of the buffs. Jimmy put on the buffs, which was cool. But just overall, super, super cool for Detroit. And Jimmy Fallon, I'm almost positive he really didn't know much about, maybe not about Detroit, but about the sports teams and the fans. And he did a little ode to Detroit. And in this ode, he mentions Jared Goff. And then all of a sudden, a Jared Goff chant breaks out. And I'm sure he was like, wow, this is kind of sweet, And I think he really, kind of learned to appreciate that the Lions and Detroit have some die-hard fans from Red Wings, Pistons, Tigers, and Lions.
We surely do. It was great seeing a couple of those. It was great to see the pictures of him at the Lions go to the game where we blow out the Bears. Him with Michael Keegan Key. Yeah. It's just great. And then he was my favorite clip of the show, doing the Detroit pronunciations.
Grashit.
Livernois, Grashit, and DeQuinder. And it was hilarious, dude. That was great. It was awesome to see him here. I definitely assumed that he was just doing a major city tour, like around to Boston and Chicago and New York and Tampa and all this, and he was going to go around and round and round. Did not realize it was just for Detroit at all till you just told me that. That is super awesome. Good for Sheila Ford Hamp, dude. She's bringing Ford back, bro. Like, we're back, dude. We're back, dude. It's awesome. I'm loving it, dude. Proud to be driving a Ford right now, dude. Martha Ford just turned, like, what was it, 100?
100, yeah.
100, she at the Century Club? Like, what is going on, dude? Sheila Ford Hampton is great. Like, right, she's the one who got Brad Holmes in here, and he got Dan Campbell in here. Martha Ford knew that like it was like I tried to trust the NFL to help me. They gave me Bob Quinn. He gave me Matt Patricia. She was like, no, dude, I'm putting the axe on all of this. My husband didn't know how to run this team. My daughter does. And Sheila Ford Hamp has been kicking ass. So shout out to the Fords, Martha, Sheila, and everyone else. It was great to see Jimmy Fallon here. It was great to see him here. Next up, let's get Conan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That would be cool. Yeah. But in this Bears game, towards the end, we saw, Ben Johnson. This was interesting. It seemed like he was pretty pissed off that he got his butt whooped, and deservedly so. If I got, a 50 burger hung on me in my first, game back at my old team, yeah, I would be kind of bummed out too. But we saw Dan Campbell go up to him and say something to his ear. What do you think he said? He probably was just like, good game, something encouragement. But if there was just like,
are we playing wrong answers only?
Let's do what do you think Dan Campbell's mind wanted him to say as opposed to what he actually said?
It's a tough question. It really is, because there's a lot of things that you could say or go through your mind. You know what I mean?
Hey, sure to the left, buddy. Enjoy the Bears.
Yeah. What I think he really said was, great game. We'll see you soon. Yeah. You know what I mean? But just the regular, the run of the mill. What I think his brain wanted him to tell him was just go up to him and be like, hey, man, it's going to be a long 4 years for you, brother. I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, we got opening. Like, in fact, I bet he's not even thinking, like, we got openings if you want to come back, because Johnny Moe looks just fine to me. I need some Johnny Moe. You know what I mean? Morton put up 52 burger on Ben Johnson. And if we're going to give Ben Johnson all the credit for last season, last 2 years, then I'm giving Johnny Morton all the credit for this year. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, Goff. Apparently you don't get any credit from anyone, but obviously it was Goff. It was the team. But, like, I think he was just like, it's going to be a long, long, long 4 years. And I think we're going to see that. We've seen the, like, gifs, the memes, the, like, jokes about it. But I think, like, seriously, we're going to see Ben Johnson leave the Chicago Bears with, like, a full gray head. And like, it's just going to be one of those, like, president before and after photos. Like, it really will be.
It wouldn't shock me, because we've seen it time after time with teams of coaches where they look young and spry coming in. They're after their tenure, like, whoa, this dude got worn down.
I got a question about Ben Johnson for you. Is he going to be the Chicago Bears version of Matt Patricia?
I want to say no, just because I was like, oh, last year, what he's done for the Lions, he's been so, there's no way. But it is eerily similar to where some guys just aren't cut out to be head coaches. They could be phenomenal coordinators, but when they have to do everything, it's just a little bit too much for their plate. Like Matt Patricia, Josh McDaniels, Mike McDaniel, Mike McDaniel. those are always confusing me. But we see how he's done in Miami over there. He's on the hot seat, probably going to be the first coach fired. And he's had, weapons on weapons, great
Brian
teams.
Daboll.
Jalen Dable, that's another good one. There's always a few coaches like that. Nathaniel Hackett, other good one where he worked well with Rodgers.
We can list a lot of bad coaches for sure. I'm not saying Ben Johnson isn't going to be a bad coach, but I mean, like, is he going to be Matt Patricia? Like, as in, like, come away as, like, maybe the worst coach in the history of the Chicago Bears. Like, because, like, to me, the reason I bring this up is, to me, when I look at Matt Patricia in his interviews, he reminds me of Matt Patricia. When I look at Ben Johnson in his interviews, he reminds me of Matt Patricia because he almost puts on a facade about being, like, only grumpy. Like, he only wants to put this, like, not good enough mentality out there. And to be a coach, you can't be like that. There's a difference of, like, being Dan Campbell, like, we do need to get better. But when he says it, you feel like he means it and is going to do everything he can to get his team, to get his players to the level he expects. Where Ben Johnson, the way he says it, to me, comes off as he expects his players to get there. He expects them to be there, but he expects his players to get there. Dan Campbell seems like, the way he says it, he will help his players get there. And there's like a long old picture online that always comes around, and it's like a true leader leads, you know what I mean, as opposed to, like, just telling you what to do. So I don't know. I think Matt Patricia and Ben Johnson have more in common than we think behind the scenes.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It still is early, 2 weeks in. You never know.
No, Ben Johnson sucks. Fire him now.
But a lot of similarities where everyone, like, when Matt Patricia came in, don't get me wrong, I'll be honest, I thought this dude was going to turn around Detroit. Belichick's, right-hand man.
For sure.
Dominate.
Right-hand man, you know what I mean? Right.
Same exact thing. Ben Johnson, everyone was like, oh my gosh, this is our savior. Pay him a boatload of money, get him weapons, and it's just not going too well. And then one big thing that
well at all.
The commentators said, I forget who they were. They're freaking terrible. I got so mad when they kept saying Deion Branch instead of Brian Branch.
Oh yeah, who were our commentators? That was kind of funny at first. Yeah, it's great, dude. They don't even. No, actually, it's not great because that's the reason why he's not in the top 100 because people like the announcers don't even know his name.
But one thing they did mention was when the Bears went for it on 4th and 1, they didn't get it. Lions stuffed them, no problem. And the one dude said, this might be just, the like impose your will, the toughness that Detroit has, that the Bears weren't tough enough to get this first down. And I think that's what Dan Campbell has. He knows how to get a dude to run through a brick wall. I don't think Ben Johnson can get someone to run through a brick wall.
Same with Matt Patricia. Couldn't do it. You know what I mean? You're right. Not good leaders of men. We'll see, though. We'll see. You're right. We'll see. It's early.
All right. Enough of the Bears slacking, even though we love to talk about anytime the Lions spank the Bears, which is often 3-game win streak. I think 6-1 in their last 7 games now. So Lions doing good. We got the Ravens on Monday Night Football. Should be a good one. We saw Baltimore. You kind of take what it is with the Cleveland game last week with grain of salt. Pretty much it's not hard to beat Joe Flacco and, Cedric Tillman and, an old Jerry Jeudy and a Quinshon Judkins who's only been on the team for like 6 days. So, it is what it is. But the week before against the Bills, that first half, I thought, oh my gosh, this Ravens team, this is the year. They're going to win the Super Bowl. They look so freaking good. And then they fell apart. And the Ravens have been known to do this. So, Lions fans, please, 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 if we go down by 15, 20, whatever, just don't give up hope. This team has been known to, give up big leads late, and they've done it a handful of times. There was a picture going around. There was like 7 different games of screenshots where it was the Ravens had 2 scored leads going into the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 8 minutes left, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, the Lions, they have not fared too well against the Ravens. Jared Goff, 0-3 against the Ravens. I think it was either 2 years ago. We kind of, maybe it was, no, 2 years ago. We kind of got our butts whooped against the Ravens. 38-6 lost. And then, of course, the infamous Justin Tucker game. So a lot of history to go on with this Detroit Lions and Ravens team.
Really, really is. And it's funny. I'm glad you bring that up. I just wrote an article today. It hasn't come out yet. It's a little teaser for anyone listening. Make sure you're checking out Roundtable Sports and you'll be able to catch up. We'll also be having it posted on Facebook and Twitter. But I'll be dropping it tomorrow morning. And it's just it's the history of the Lions and Ravens, which is pretty brief, obviously, with the Ravens only being a franchise since 1996. But it ain't good. It's a massacre, brother. It's a lopsided massacre. The last time we won, we're going to be coming up on the 20-year anniversary of the last time we won, October 6th, 2005. And we're not too far away from the 20-year-old anniversary of that. So after that, we're 1-6 against some seven opportunities to play them. Or 1-6, I think 7 opportunities. Yeah. And yes, obviously you brought up Justin Tucker, 66-yarder that we all know about. Let's not forget on Monday night in 2000, and I believe it was 12 or 13 or something, he hit a 61-yarder to beat us at the end of regulation with 8 seconds to go in the game. And the game after that, they trounced us 45-8 or something like that. It was a full-on blowout. And then they beat us in Ford Field with Justin Tucker field goal. And then they beat us 38-6 2 years ago. It has been bad. It has been really, really, really bad. In fact, little trivia for you. Can you name the first Baltimore Ravens quarterback to throw a touchdown against the Detroit Lions?
I'm going to go. I just got to go.
I'll even give you the hint of it was in 1998, the first game the Lions played the Ravens, which the Lions lost. No surprise.
Was it Trent Dilfer?
It was not.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to have you just look down at your shirt and give me one more guess. You got to look down at your shirt first. You got to look down at your shirt. All right. And who could it be? He is wrong, but I'll show it. Not Tony Banks.
Brian Greasy?
Jim motherfucking Harbaugh threw the first touchdown for the Baltimore Ravens against the Detroit Lions to not Priest Holmes, because Priest Holmes ran the first touchdown in against us. I can't remember who he threw to, but I did know that. But anyways, Jim Harbaugh threw the first touchdown for the Ravens against the Lions. So just a fun little history rivalry, not rivalry, a fun little history, 7 games. Lions have only won 1. We're trying to get our next one in. It's going to be tough, isn't it? Do you think we can stop Lamar?
So what you've been saying is I've noticed a trend where it goes insanely clutch field goal, blowout, insanely clutch field goal, blowout.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have Justin Tucker anymore. So that means they're banking on an insanely clutch field goal.
It's going to be the Jake Bates insanely clutch field goal, dude. Redemption after missing one last week, which obviously didn't even matter. But anytime Jake Bates misses a field goal, I'm like, no. Sometimes as kickers, it almost seems like it's a snowball. It's like when it happens, it's like starts to happen over and over, and it's like just keep knocking them through, Batesy boy.
Went 7 for 7 on extra points and hit another field goal. So
we love him.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
But Lions, Ravens. Me and Julius, we touched on this bit. My biggest concern in this game is we knew Aaron Glenn was notorious for just kind of not spying a running quarterback, just letting them either have their way or whatever. I'm curious how Kevin Shepard's going to approach this game. The Lions did bring in Malik Cunningham, a mobile, fast quarterback who actually also did have a stint with the Ravens for a hot second, into probably play that role of, Lamar Jackson, scramble around, try to keep contained. Do you think we're going to see any type of, QB spies or just force Lamar to beat us with his arm?
No, yeah, we're definitely going to see QB spy. Last time we played him, we had Anzalone spy, and even though it went very south, very quick, I think a lot of this, I think if you look back at that game, yes, it got out of hand. We could not stop them on defense. That's very fair, but we also could not move the ball on offense. to beat the Ravens, you have to score 40 points, right? Like that's what like that we've seen that. We've seen unless you're in their division, which yes, that's a whole different kind of game. Like we don't talk about division. But if you're in the NFC, you basically have to score 40 points, or your defense has to be like the Eagles, where they shut them down pretty well last year. Our defense isn't quite there, unfortunately. If we were to score, like we just have to keep up with them. I think the way to beat them is to get into a shootout and allow Lamar Jackson to make a mistake late in the game, like a fumble or an interception that allows you to take advantage. But our defense, I'm not going into this game thinking, well, man, if we can contain Lamar Jackson, we might be able to stop him to 33 points. Like, why even think that, dude? Just assume that this is going to be a college football game and you're winning this game 41-40, just like the Buffalo Bills did. Buffalo's Bills didn't keep up with them. They were down quite a lot going into the final minutes of the game. You already
Derrick Henry fumble.
But the Derrick Henry, you stayed within striking distance until something bad happened. The Lions, the last time we played the Ravens, we didn't stay within striking distance. It was a blowout at halftime.
I think the very last drive of the game, we got points on the board, but we did not score the first 3 quarters. Ravens had 28. It was 28-0 at half. So I
think we only had 1 first down at halftime too, if I'm not mistaken.
Goff did not look good. I'm looking at stats right now: 33 for 53, 284, 1 interception. No Monty in this game. It was a Gibbs game. Gibbs played pretty well. 11 carries, 68 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Amon-Ra, solid game too. 13 catches, 102 yards. We also this was back when I think it was J-Mo's like 3rd or 4th game. So we got a lot of new weapons. Montgomery's going to be in. J-Mo's going to be, full form J-Mo. Sam Laporta had a solid game, 6 catches, 52 yards. But you combine all this together, and I think the Lions offense can definitely hang. And yes, Nick, that's exactly right. We just got to hang around and wait for, something to happen, because it might not even need a Lamar Jackson interception. It could be, Tyleik Williams gets his hand up and bats the ball down and, gets an interception, or, a dude drops a pass and it gets tipped up into, Kirby Joseph's hands. Just something like that. We see it all the time in the NFL, where a team could be playing so good, a quarterback could be playing so good, but if one other player just makes one little mistake, then it could change the, the outcome of the game.
That's basically, here's what I'm predicting a Lions win. Okay. Like, I do think we can win this game. But ultimately I'm not mad if we lose, right?
I just want to keep it close.
I just want to, I just want my offense on the road on Monday night in an outdoor field for the second time in 3 games to show that we can score 30 points. Now, hopefully, at the same point, I would like to see our defense hold Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to 33 points or less. And hopefully we can come out with this win 36-33. But I'm not looking for win or loss. I mean, obviously I am. That's what I'm going into the game. Obviously, let's go fucking Lions. I want to win. But there's a lot of moral victories I might be able to take away from this game, even if we don't win. So I'm not worried about winning and losing. I'm worried about containing and showing that we are here. If we don't beat the Baltimore Ravens, it is not the end of the world. You know what I mean? But like you said, stay close. Wait for the one mistake. Lamar Jackson throws the ball like Jalen Hurts with his eyes closed. Like, it's not good. But he can run with the best of them. And at that point, you can draw defenders closer to you, and you can just chuck a ball. And Zay Flowers is going to run under it somewhere. DeAndre Hopkins is doing his best Isaac Tesla impersonations, catching just one-handed touchdowns left and right. And it's just like, what the fuck? So I'm not worried about him and Bateman. Derrick Henry, you think he can run all over the Detroit Lions defense? Think again. You know what I mean? We have the best run defense in the NFL. We're back. And I'm not worried about Derrick Henry at all. Lamar Jackson can run on our defense and probably will run on our defense. And I bet in our 3-person, probably Adam, Julius, and I do every week, I might be picking Lamar Jackson's rushing yards. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, just don't worry about it. Let Anzalone like spy him and do your best to contain him as much as you can. But when he rushes for 93 yards, just live with it. Just be close, win the game when they go into prevent and give us 2 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes.
I will say their game against it's such a weird game because they destroyed Cleveland, but their rushing game, they had 45 total rush yards, which is probably one of the worst games the Ravens have had in like 100 games, because this team has been known for being the best all around rushing team with, Lamar, Derrick Henry, or Lamar, whoever.
I think that says a lot actually about Cleveland's defense, who also shut down Chase Brown in week 1. I think with who'd they get? Mason, who from Michigan?
Graham, yeah.
Mason Graham, Myles Garrett. They got another big guy too that I can't think of. But they got a good defense. I think that might be more telling for the Cleveland Browns defense. Just putting that out there. But I think we have the best run defense, which is better than Cleveland. So I kind of assumed the same thing. I bet Derrick Henry, I would bet his under 65 yards. I don't know what the yards would be set at, but I would bet under 65.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. The Browns, they have a decent defensive line. Myles Garrett, we got Aiden Hutchinson. Garrett had a sack and a half, 2 total tackles for losses. So
that's a divisional game.
Yeah,
which is there's so many things that they just have seen each other so many times. You know what I mean? Like there's just different things to take in effect there.
Yeah, I think we just need everyone to play a good game. If one dude shits the bed, it could make things be tough. If Goff has another one of those Houston Texans games, I don't think we could come back against the Ravens as opposed to the Texans. So Goff.
Speaking of the Texans, dude, they're done. They stink. They don't stink, bro. They are the epitome of fuck around with your offensive line and find out. They tried to throw out 7 Canadian Football League players as their offensive linemen, and they still can't do nothing. And then Nick Chubb is their running back because Mixon can't get on the field. That team is done. Trash.
Fortunately, we do not play the Texans this year, or else that would have been kind of nice. But me and Julius talked about our keys to victory. Mine was, contain Lamar, because he's going to be trying to make big plays. We saw that Bills play where he ran like 50 yards without even crossing the line of scrimmage, and then ran another 15 yards for a first down. If we could just cancel out all those plays, any like 3rd and 12s where he runs around back left, back right, and then gets the first. If we could just stop those, I think that will go a long way. It's the little things, and I think containing Lamar, it's not like a must. If Lamar does rush for 100 yards, if he told me he's going to have 100 yards guaranteed, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, there's no way we can win this game. But I do think it will help out a lot. And then Julius mentioned that through the offensive line, we need to see another game like we did against the Bears, where, Penny kind of came back to form, was elite. Decker looked like, he still had plenty of juice left. Mahogany played solid. The one guy I do kind of want to keep an eye on is Tate Ratledge. He still is, not playing the best, but only 2 games into his NFL career. He is going to be going up against Matabuike. I'm not even trying to pronounce his first name, but this dude's defensive tackle of the Ravens has had a sack in each of his 2 games. Need Tate Ratledge to have, show me you're meant for the NFL. Show me you're, a Georgia Bulldog and can play in the SEC, and your big guy can hang. So I agree with Julius on that. The offensive line, contain Lamar, key to victory, Nick.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot, right? There's a lot that goes into it. Here's what I'll say. My key to victory, this is a very small key to victory. Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is my key.
Funny you mentioned that. I'm writing a bold predictions article right now, and I have my first bold prediction is the tight ends, because I've officially realized that Jared Goff kind of loves Brock Wright. If Brock Wright's wide open in the end zone, he's throwing it to him 100 times out of 100. So bold prediction number 1, tight ends will have 2 touchdowns.
I like that. And maybe I'll even just not Sam Laporta, but tight ends. The tight ends are going to be the key to victory. Because I was going to say for blocking. Yes. If we're going to run on this team, which is how we're going to establish this win, in my opinion, we need our tight ends to get down and dirty and block very, very well. But let's get outside of that. And what do tight ends do most of all? They catch the ball. Who have the Baltimore Ravens been terrible against? Tight ends. They've allowed the second most receptions and receiving yards to tight ends this year through 2 games. The only team that's allowed more receptions, the Cardinals. The only team that's allowed more receiving yards, the Panthers. So I'm all in on, like, I might be sitting Jameson Williams in a fantasy league or 2 this week because I am not so sure that he's going to have 2 catches for 100 yards this week. I think maybe more like 3 to 5 for like 40 to 60 yards, which is a good day, but I have good players on my fantasy team, so don't worry. But I do expect Sam Laporta mainly, or just the tight ends in general, to go for over 100 yards this week. And I feel like we're going to feed them. Patrick Queen? Is he the middle linebacker? No, Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith has not looked good. He has not looked good in the first 2 weeks, and Buffalo really made him like kind of pay for it. Last week, I felt like Cleveland.
They gave up 40 yards each to Harold Fannin, a rookie, and David Njoku. So I'm expecting 100 yards out of the tight end position. I was just going to say Sam Laporta, but I'll go with this tight end position in general. And that's going to be a big key for us. We aren't going to be able to rely on St. Brown and J-Mo like we did against Chicago, in my opinion, outside on Monday night. They'll get their fair share. But I think it's just going to be a quiet tight end day, or it's going to be an underrated tight end day, and then we're going to break out against Baltimore. So that's my key to victory. Yeah, and touching on that, even in the Bills game, Ravens allowed, Dalton Kincaid 40 yards and a touchdown. So it's not like they're playing, Trey McBride's, some of these elite tight ends, George Kittle's, and the studs like that. Granted, Sam Laporta is kind of in that category. So I think Laporta, I think he's going to have a solid game. Honestly, might be a leg in our parlay where, take the Laporta yards, maybe even receptions. I think he's going to get open. He's going to get opportunities. They do have Kyle Hamilton, but judging by how those 3 tight ends have fared against the Ravens, I don't think Hamilton's been, spying on the tight ends. I think he's more of a deep threat guy, which kind of piggybacks off of your J-Mo take, where I think Hamilton will be aware J-Mo can get deep. Don't let him get deep. But at the end of the day, J-Mo could take a 50-yarder to the house at any point. So you never know with him. But yeah, I agree. Tight ends, I think they're gonna have a good day, and I think that'll be key to victory.
Yep, I agree. NFL is always kind of weird like that, where it's like first week Sam Laporta was probably our best receiver. Then week 2, we didn't get much Laporta, but we got a lot of wide receivers. So now everyone's going to go chasing the wide receivers and their bets and their DFSs and all that, and the Lions are going to go right back to the tight end. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how the NFL goes. You always got to try to read ahead and not just read what happens. So, yep, I like it. Some good keys to victory. We're winning this game.
You did mention, I don't know if you're set on this, but a 36-33 victory for the Lions. I had that pretty close to. I had 38-34. So are you sticking with 36-33 or is that
no? And because I'm first in our predictions game, because I stunk last week and only got 1 point for predicting the Lions would win. I'm honestly going 31-30 Lions on a Jake Bates field goal to win the game.
That would be beautiful.
And just so you know, and for everyone listening, we'll update everyone as we go on next week because we don't have Julius here. But I'm also taking Jared Goff and Kirby Joseph as my offensive MVP and defensive MVP.
Right. So, yeah. Well, since Julius probably isn't listening to this, hopefully he doesn't take I think I would go. So I have 3rd pick, so I'm kind of in a tricky situation. You can't really – I could get my pick stolen, 38-34. After what we've just been talking about these tight ends, I want to go Sam Laporta.
Another one. I did Laporta last week. Wrong move. I changed
it's going to be Laporta or Gibbs. That's what it will be. Laporta or Gibbs. And then I probably will double down with Brian Branch or Hutch, honestly. Can't go wrong.
Whatever one Julius doesn't take.
Yes, exactly. And then actually one other thing before we get out of here that I do want to talk about, kind of jumping back into these first 2 games.
Yeah, we got Tigers on, right? Oh, 6:40. Yeah, so let's go. Last one. Here we go.
Last question. Any concern for Terrion Arnold? He's allowed the most receiving yards for any cornerback in the NFL right now. He nearly had an interception, was wiped away by a penalty. But is this something that, might be a bigger concern down the line with, when we play teams with explosive receivers like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson? Maybe they don't have to be quarterbacks, but still elite, wide recievers.
Sure. I saw that tweet. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Almost had 2 interceptions last week, I would say, too. And no, it's just kind of how the games have fared. I would say if we are in a game, like after week 1, he did not have the most yards allowed. Yeah. Chicago was let up a 50
garbage time too.
What happens to NFL teams when they're down 50 points? They throw the ball a ton. What do the defenses do? They play prevent. Now, if this is the case, and we're in week 15, and we have, I don't remember who our last 3 games are, but those 3 games, and then the playoffs, and Terrion Arnold still leads the league in most yards allowed. And I'm not even talking week 8. I'm not talking week 10. I'm not talking week 12. I'm talking week 15. Or week 14. So we
finished Steelers, Vikings, Bears. So
okay, so I wouldn't even be that worried. But
Rams
that's how long it would take for me to get worried. Is like, unless I'm seeing egregious now, Terrion Arnold needs to get better. He needs to get closer. There's a lot of plays where he is far off, but I think that'll happen. No. So to answer your question, I am not nervous at all. How about you?
I agree too. It is something where it's like, might want to keep an eye on that, but no red flags, because we saw all offseason. I talked to Kirby Joseph. He said Terrion. Dan Campbell raved about Terrion. Calvin Shepard. A lot of coaches and players were raving about Terrion, and it wasn't just they're hyping up the second year guy. They're hyping him up. These guys actually believed that Terrion had taken the next step. So ultimately, I think he should be good against a Ravens team with, Zay Flowers and old man DeAndre Hopkins. I think this will be a great test. If he can hold his own, all that will be wiped away. But now if he gets, torched again, the meter
will be torched by Zay. He's going to get torched by Zay. Zay is a fast receiver. That's going to happen. That's okay. That's okay. That's just going to happen. There's a lot going on when you're trying to defend Lamar Jackson. But ultimately, that's why, again, even if he's leading the league after this week, I'm not that mad. I'm not that worried. If he makes an interception, makes a big play, then that's all that matters, dude. Force a fumble. Exactly, you know what I mean? We see him hit hard. Tackle Derrick Henry real hard and not get stiff-armed, and we'll be like, you're all right, dude. You're okay.
Exactly. All right, before we get out of here, check us out on X at Honolulu Blues _. Check us out individually at Nick Faber NFL, Everyday FFB for myself. And if you want to see some more of mine and Nick's written content, check out the Roundtable. We got all sorts of articles on there, from Lions players to coaches to bold predictions to betting predictions. We got everything. More and more stuff will be coming out just daily. Make sure you check out them, Roundtable Sports. They got all sorts of teams as well. Michigan fans, Michigan State, Lion, or Spartan. Why do I keep saying the same teams? Tigers, Red Wings, all that good stuff. But as always, boys and girls,